I knew I got it. I was very happy. Oh, I got it. At least I wasn't here, there. I wasn't looking there, here, there. I got this man coming in there. I saw it with through my lens. I got it in there. And everybody at the press box up there, my colleague, and there were so many more Australian photographers, all of them knew this was the best angle. And all of them, every one of them at the press box knew that VV Krishnan always sits up there. So so many more reporters came in there and looked down, is VV Krishnan there? And they said, hey VV, did you get it? I said, I got something. I didn't say, no, I got it here, there. I didn't want to boast myself. I developed my film. By the time I went into my dark room, there were almost 6-7 reporters who had already come there just to see the picture. That was the only time in my dark room, there were about 10 people in my dark room inside the loo. There was no dark room. That loo was converted, bathroom was converted into a dark room. And you had about 8 people in the dark room under the fluorescent light, red light. So eventually I processed it, made it, fixed it, got in there, and I got a hug from all of them.
Welcome to Everything Comes Together. My name is Sreenag. I'm an architectural photographer based in Chennai, India. And my guest today is sports photographer VV Krishnan. On the 8th of March 1992, along with an astonished cricketing world, I watched South Africa's Jonty Rhodes throw himself into the air and rocket into the stumps, ball in hand, to run out Inzamam of Pakistan. This was a piece of fielding for the ages and a transformational moment for modern cricket. If this had happened in the era of YouTube, it may have been the most paused moment at the time. In 1992, if you wanted a sports moment frozen in time, you waited for the next day's newspaper, and that's exactly what I did. Splashed across the sports page of The Hindu was a stunning photo of Jonty supermaning it into the stumps. This picture was shot by my guest today, arguably India's most prolific cricket photographer, VV Krishnan. The image stuck with me for nearly 30 years until I was introduced to him earlier this year. Krishnan is an encyclopedia of cricketing knowledge and is a perfect record of his own images from over 30 years ago, which makes this conversation all the more valuable.
I had an inclination of photography because there was an uncle of mine called, earlier he was Squad Leader Narayanan. He was like into photography, and in the sense he used to do aerial photography, carrying up meaning these are cameras installed under the belly of an aircraft. So he used to do the sorties, and he used to once in a while visit us and all that. That was very fascinating in the sense, you could see, meaning you get pictures, aircraft pictures so much sharper. Of course, later I realized it. Of course, you travel on one plane and you shoot another plane, obviously it has to be sharp. The background is sharp and so is the plane sharp. That's it. That was different. But he was kind of a hero for me, a role model for me, and that's it. And then I went to learn a bit. He presented me a camera called Lubitel, that's about it, which is a Rolleiflex kind of camera. It's a very cheaper version of Rolleiflex, and it comes in from Russia. Like you had Zenith cameras those days and all that. Pretty decent it are kind of, And then when I finished class 10 and my brother finished class 8, we were together, and my father asked us to just go around south and have a nice trip. So it was almost a 6-week trip we took off, and that's it. And I picked up about 6 rolls of Orvo film. Those days were Orvo and Indu. There were 2 films. Indu was cheaper, but then eventually Indu could give away somewhere here there. So I bought Orvo. I had Indu. Eventually I went in there, and we used to save all the money. I used to skip dinners, I used to skip good hotels, we used to sleep in bus stands. My younger brother, poor guy, I actually bullied him. He didn't like it so much, but eventually that's it. After that, came back with almost about 16 rolls of film or 18 rolls of film. I took only 4 rolls. So all that, we came back in there. I took it for processing. My uncle processed it, and then he told my dad, this guy has a good visual sense. I think you should encourage him. My dad was always like, he wanted me to become a chartered accountant, get into the typical tamram. No, that's about it. You got to be idealistic, do this. And then after that, I finished my school. I wasn't a very great at academics and everything like that. So eventually, I was doing my graduation, and then somebody told me, somebody in the family and somebody said, hey, there is an opportunity at National Institute of Design, why don't you apply for it? It was an advanced entry program for 1.5 years, industrial photography. And
if you could actually circle back a little bit before we get to your time at college, so for how many years did you get a chance to practice your photography while you were at school? For how many years did you do that before you actually applied to ANID?
I did what? I began in class 10, so those were 2 years, and then another 3 more years while I was doing my graduation. So about 5 years. But those days were so, in the sense, no, we had a joint family in the sense, no, and that's it. We had a small kind of a MIG, middle income group, MIG DDF flat, which has only one bathroom and one bathroom. So I had to actually wait, and I had set up a dark room. So eventually I had to wait for all the elderlies to use all the bathroom, all their facilities and everything. And it used to be very close to about 11:30 at night. No, they all of them go to sleep, and then I used to carry my enlarger, ACFA enlarger. I had an ACFA enlarger. I'm not too sure. I don't carry the right name. So I had that enlarger. I used to go place it on the commode, and I used to make my prints and everything like that. I made sure I finished by about 4 o'clock, 4:30, because these are elderly people. I had my 2 grandmothers and I had my grandfather, and then I had 2 siblings, and then I had my parents. So imagine, no, 9 people with 1 bathroom. So I had to call off my deadline was 3:30, 4 o'clock. So by 4 o'clock I used to wind up, and I used to make sure the bathroom looks as clean as when I went in there. That's about it.
Yeah, no chemicals spilled on the floor.
Yeah, so no chemicals, nothing, that's about it. And
yeah,
and those days photography were very expensive, in the sense, no, you had to process your film, and each roll, even after that we became 35 millimeter. Even 35 millimeter wasn't cheap in any case. As a student photographer, actually I got an opportunity to apply for, there was a student scheme which was initially launched by Vigadan, you know, I'm sure, no, people know Vigadan, no?
yes,
Vigadan from Tamil Nadu, which was based, they headquartered in Madras. So they had applied, eventually I could read barely Tamil because of my music classes and everything. I was a great Tamil student even at my school. So the Vigadan had actually launched a student scheme which was open to us when I was in class 10. So I had applied, a friend of my mother had told me, they were regular subscribers of Vigadam. They said, Arun, why don't you apply? I said, I don't know Tamil, so where do I stand a chance? They said, just apply. So I applied, and I applied, and there were, I think, 2,998 people had applied, and they actually picked up, I think, 110 students all over India, out of which most of them were in Tamil Nadu, and some here, some there, and all that. But eventually from Delhi, it was only me and another colleague of mine who was a writer, who was actually a placed lawyer actually. He was doing law, he was at law school, and I was doing my BCom, that's it. And those guys selected me. We went in there and we shot some pictures here, there. We had a good interview and anything like that. After that, it was so thrilling in the sense, no, that it was a 1-year scheme and called Manavar Payarchi Thittam, which is actually a student journalism scheme or something like that. And just then they had launched this new paper called Junior Vigadan.
Right.
And that guy called, those were lovely people and everything like that, but it was such a challenge in the sense, it was just internship. It was basically just a student scheme. We were paid only to our expenses, but eventually every 3 months they used to organize a workshop, and I used to be traveling from Delhi to Chennai by second class train, by Tamil Nadu Express or GT Express. But even then, those tickets were paid by them, and we were hosted at some small hotels in Chennai, like places like Maris, which is now, I wouldn't say Maris is bad at all, no, but those days for me, staying at Maris was huge, that's it. And then they used to hold workshops every 3 months. They used to have a workshop. It was a very, very lovely learning experience. We used to have lots and lots of elderly people who were accomplished journalists. I can't recollect the name. She used to work for BBC, and then we had some editors called Sudhangan, we had somebody called Madan, then he himself, the editor was Mr. Balasubramaniam, and then there was a person called Sujata. I always thought Sujata was actually a woman, but Sujata was his pen name. He used to work as I think he was an engineer who used to work, and he was one of the pioneers who actually made he was a pioneer who actually made, I think, the voting machine. That's about it. He was one of the pioneers who actually made the voting machine. So these are lovely experience, and it was a thought process in the sense there was so much encouragement. There was not much money, but still there was so much more encouragement. That's a platform anybody would look for. Of course, now you have so much more YouTube. You can launch your own channel, everything. But those days, even that was like a dream come true, and I enjoyed it, thoroughly enjoyed it. I finished my 1 year of training, and they appointed me as an intern, and they used to give me a stipend of 550 rupees those days. And now then we had an opportunity to travel to Punjab during the terrorist attack and everything like that. It gave me an opportunity to go and meet Bhindranwale's family in Punjab during terror threats, really. And we used to travel by buses to Punjab, from Delhi to Punjab, all over by buses. But it was a great experience in the sense, you sit in there, you have somebody to talk to here there. Of course, you were scared because those days, there was so much of terrorism happening in there and everywhere. And Punjab was, by about 4 o'clock, 4:30, the whole state used to be like, all the roads, everything used to be deserted. And we went in there to Bhindranwale's family in their village, and that's it. You went in there, his father was there, he made us to sit, have a meal. It was so nice of them. The water there, and Punjab is Punjab. Punjabis are such brilliant people, and these were lovely learning experiences. Somebody again, like the way I went into Vigadan, somebody told me, why don't you apply for NID Ahmedabad? I said, no, it's not right. I don't think, I'm pretty happy. And my father always, he wanted me to become a chartered accountant. So since so many people said, okay, I said, let me apply. So I applied, and then after that I was doing something, and then I got an interview call. So we went in there. There are only about 125 people who came for the interview. And you went in there, they had such huge prints, about 16 by 20 prints, huge prints, lovely large prints. People from Mudra Videotech. Those days Mudra was actually very, very one of the largest, best agencies. And then you had Ulka, then you had Lintas, everything. So many people, brilliant photographer with good work, large, and they used to have silk kurtas, lovely Kolhapuri chappals, and here and you had VV Krishnan going there with just his usual jeans and probably a t-shirt. I stayed at a hotel called Kapadia, which was actually 35 rupees a night at a bed. That's it. Those days, by that time, from my Lubital, I had actually moved to a Olympus OM10. OM10 was my camera, I guess. That's which are brilliant metering. I would still I still consider it probably had one of the finest metering technology in those days. It was far ahead than so many better contemporary cameras. And then I went in there, I had an interview, went for the interview, and you had the 125 people, each of them had fabulous kind of, and for VV Krishnan, obviously I had my darkroom time was 11:30 to 3:30. I came back from a tour, I could make only about 12 prints, and I only had soft paper at home, and I had a train ticket the next evening, 4 o'clock, Ashram Express. So all I had was, okay, I have my next, I got only so much of paper. I had by the time I came back came home, I realized I had only so much more paper. So I made 3 different varieties of my developers. Each one had a different contrast, how you do it. And that's about, I made my prints. I had about 6 by 9, 7 by 9 prints, which was just about a much larger than a postcard, but smaller than an 8 by 10. So obviously I went in there, I had a good presentation. That's it. Then I had this friend of mine, again, he got selected with me, called Samar Jodha, again a brilliant friend, good photographer, very nice visualizer. His father was there. He said, hi Krishnan, and that's it. I wasn't in very much on talking terms because I looked like very low in the sense there were so many more accomplished people with large artwork, good work, and Samar was already a LRPS from Royal Photographic Society. So I saw his work, again, lovely light and shadow here, there, everything. But I had a good interview, and he saw my work, his father saw my work. I said, Krishnan, you stand a good chance. I said, I had a laugh. I said, forget it, it's okay. After that, I went to Calico Museum. I was supposed to shoot a roll of film, and I was supposed to leave it there. It went in there. And I came back in there, not disappointed. I came back in there with some positivity. I did. It was a lovely place just to go see the campus, look at people around, moving around here, there. The entire atmosphere actually was like, oh, I wish I had known this. I would have planned it better. I would have, I had time, no, I would have probably made my portfolio a little better or probably presentable, I thought. But I had a decent interview. I wasn't confident at all. But then I came back in there, and 2 weeks later, 4 o'clock in the morning, there was a bell which rang at my home. So I opened, I am an early riser, even till today, I probably wake up at 4:30. So I opened the door, and that's a telegram. I thought, no, somebody, one Narayan Swami, my uncle, or somebody older, somebody there, somebody. Those days we didn't have a phone at home. None of us, probably not many people had a phone at home, unless you are a bureaucrat or something like that, no, who is well placed in government, or you are a largely better business person. You didn't have a phone at home. So this man comes in, telegram. They say, हाँ भैया बताइए, VV Krishnan कौन है? Then I said, damn it, it looks luck. That's it. I said, I am VV Krishnan. Then you open the telegram. It says, hello VV Krishnan, you've been selected for advanced entry program of industrial photography at the National Institute of Design. You will be paid a stipend of 1,025 and accommodation. That was like a job, man.
Wow.
That's it. I said, that's it. I told my Appa, my day is made. I am looking forward to this. I love it as a profession. And now there's nobody to stop me. You don't have to pay my fee. I'll take care of myself. And I went in there. I was there 18 months. And that place is just full of learning, fun. That entire place had, of course, now you have so many more institutions which probably has that. But those days, that was probably one of the premier institutions. And then Ahmedabad is so beautiful in the sense, you had NID, then you had IIM, then you had School of Planning and Architecture. The whole place, like Giriben, who passed away about 6 weeks ago. Being such people dedicated, Vikram Sarabhai and all that, the entire Ahmedabad has this culture of education, and that they give you a sort of freedom for learning, in the sense they don't put you, okay, this is it, A plus B is 2, this is it, nothing. You give a time, they give you a timeline. There were people in my own institution at NID who had a project for about, they had their entire curriculum used to be about 4.5 years, and they used to stretch it about 7 years, no more now, no more. They could stretch it about 7.5 years. You had people, and that place had furniture, ceramic, textile, name it, visual communication, computer graphics those days, and lovely resource center, beautiful library, and come what may, meaning, of course, now you can go to Rhode Island, people go study abroad. Now you have few more institutions which have come up. NID itself has so many more branches in Bhopal, Vijayawada, Guwahati, Haryana, Kurukshetra. They have so many more branches now. They branched out so well, and it's so nice that people like many youngsters get an opportunity to go look at this, and it's so much more diversified.
Yeah. It's so unique because, and which year was this that you joined NID?
85. I went in 85.
And that would have been a very rare thing to get it's almost essentially like a scholarship, right? So if you were paid a stipend to come and study there.
Of course, I was surprised. I was thoroughly surprised when my telegram said I get a stipend. It was like a scholarship, absolutely. Meaning, and look at the facilities they had. You could make as many prints you want. You had an auto processor, mind blowing, and you could make, and they gave me so much more opportunity. We had kind of people who used to come and teach us were people like absolute doins. He was a magnum photographer called Eric Lessing. Meaning, when he came and taught us, we were a batch of 5 people who got selected in that 125. We were just 5 people, four, and one guy came from the northeast India. They had a quota, that's it, called Lima. He came from Nagaland. Lovely person, very nice person. It was so nice. We learned a lot from him, meaning okay, of course, I was exposed in Delhi, we had kind of this here, there, but that guy coming in from Nagaland, it was so much diversified. And what I loved about NID is, people came in from so many quarters, people who were better off, people who were there, they came in for quota, here, there. I had an opportunity to teach people, meaning people who are in the foundation program, I could teach photography to them, which was very nice. And among my batch of 5 people, not everybody loved teaching. They used to have aversion towards teaching. They said, we are here to learn. It's not our job to teach them. But I think that at that age, to teach people, and I enjoyed it. Even till today, I always love actually taking classes for photography, speaking to, and I would always take a photographer, somebody wants to learn photography, I would tell them, you come along with me, let's go to a place and study, than actually telling you, this is it, this is it, this is it. Like something called depth of field. Depth of field is very, lot of people actually think depth of field is rocket science. It is actually rocket science. It's not, it's very easy if you understand it easy.
Yes.
It's so beautiful.
Each
lens, each aperture, it's different. Once you get it right, it's actually the best way to actually understand, and you make the most of it while you do portraiture, while you do architecture, while you do everything. I'm sure all photographers know it, you know it, and so many people. Of course, now you have so many more eventually, but those days to teach aperture, meaning depth of field, I made it so simplified. I said, this is it. And people say, it's so you make it sound so easy. And actually, I would still say, even photography, even till today, meaning now, of course, you have digital technology, everything like that, it's all different.
Yeah. But so if you enjoyed teaching back then, do you still teach today?
Yeah, I do once in a while. If somebody reaches me, like we do get some interns and all, of course, because of COVID and all that, we haven't had many internships coming at all, but we have stopped, meaning I myself, I go to the office once a week or twice a week or something like that. We haven't had any internship since the COVID came in, that's about it. Otherwise, my interns used to come and they used to come. I used to make them so much more comfortable. And what I always feel, when you teach people, you should never feel you are insecure. A teacher should always give his 100% values and make sure the student feels comfortable. And a teacher's job is to give your 100%. Don't hide any of your knowledge that, I need to keep this for myself, I need to keep this for day after, nothing. Whatever possible, you should give it to them then and then. And because these are the people who are the future for photography and future for any projects they do it, that's about it. I would be more than happy if what I taught them, if they implement it, they put to good use and it reflects on their work.
I want to actually bring up one person, one mentor at your early years, which was T. Kashinath, who is a photographer from Karnataka, and he was one of the early greats of Indian photography. What was your experience working with him?
I joined that institute. He had a photography institute called Modern School of Photography in Munirka. By the time he had retired, and I was doing my first year of graduation, so I went and enrolled myself in there. He was a man of thorough knowledge, man of very few words, and you have to listen to him very carefully. Tumkur Kashinath, and Tumkur is extremely famous for people like, meaning they all come in from the same area, like you had these Malgudi days and everything like that, and very, very typical, extremely, whatever they do, they are very, very intense in what they do. And this man had such a great quality, meaning and when it comes to shooting and when it came to exposures, he used to always say, Krishnan, always your negative should be always a quarter underexposed. You underexpose it, you can get your shadow details. The moment you overexpose it, your highlights are gone, you get more of shadows. Shadows you can always develop while you print it, but if you lost on your highlights, you try gaining your highlights, you are actually burning your bromide.
Yeah.
And that helped me those days transparency wasn't a big kind of, meaning you had Kodachrome, you had everything like that. But after when I went to NID and all that, and this man, I still remember his pictures he shot in Manali, in Himachal and all that, and some in Karnataka and all that. Pictures were like, and this man he was heading Press Information Bureau, which is Government of India's photo division. He retired as a director of photo division. Extremely tall man, he was +6+, very nice guy, Rolleiflex, and this man was a man of very few words. But if you only look at him, his body language, and you hear him carefully, it was so much of just full of info, so much of composure, that's it. And there was a guy from Jamia Millia Ismailia. I think our batch had about 12 people, and out of which I think me and that guy called Basit or somebody, he is heading Jamia Millia Ismailia, no? He heads the photo department now there at Jamia in Delhi. Brilliant. And he gave us 2 of us distinction. Very nice. Extremely focused, and the way they worked, the way they spoke, it was a learning process by itself. The way they handle cameras, everything, even when he focuses, when he used to reach the enlarger, the knob, how careful, how brilliantly they used to do. Then while developing paper, everything, there was no mess, absolute clean. You used to, if you go into his dark room, it was as clean as a lab, no, as a diagnostic lab.
Yeah.
No mess around, no smell of chemicals, nothing.
So actually, this is I think when you're talking about the exposure advice that he had given you, it is still applicable today, because that doesn't change whether it's film or digital. You're still going to have to expose properly to get the best results.
Yeah, I would still even with, I implied the same thing when I did my photography, when it was, I did so much of, those days color photography has to be done only on Ektachrome or Kodachrome. Kodachrome, you have to obviously send it to either Dubai or Singapore or somewhere, or we had to go and send it, or go and give it at Janpat in Kodak, and they used to send it and used to come after 3 weeks. Otherwise, Ektachrome, I only felt, even on Ektachrome, you expose your slides for highlights, and it stands the same even till today. I would say when it comes to digital photography, if you expose all your exposure, if it's for the highlight, I'm not saying the highlight in the sense the real white, but real white or the spot on where it's 5%. But you need to keep your exposure to about 8%, 12%, 8 to 12%. And your shadows, you can always enhance it. You can open it, it will not. But if you lost on your highlights, I don't think it's extremely tough to build up in there. But if you build up on your highlights, you actually ruin your image.
Moving on from this one instance, I'm moving on to the person you recognize as another mentor of yours, which is Gopalan Kasturi of the Hindu. So it's very interesting because you moved into the Hindu at that point, and it seems like you have stayed there you've stayed at the Hindu newspaper till today. How did you meet him? How did that introduction even happen?
While actually, after I passed out of Modern School of Photography, and I was in my final year of my graduation, I had actually applied. I knew people like N. Tyagarajan used to be with Hindustan Times. I had met Mr. Paul, Mr. Raghurai at some, not assignments I would say, during my street photography here, there, or go to Lodi Garden or something like that here, there. And then I came to know of it that among all the papers and all that, of course, the Hindu always is from Chennai and very Tamil Nadu based paper. And we had this newspaper called Hindustan Times, the Express, Times of India in Delhi and all that. But I always thought, I had something called inclination for the Hindu. And Mr. Tyagarajan used to, once in a while, he used to be like, he was a neighborhood friend in the sense, his cousin used to be there, they were next door neighbors. Once in a while he used to drop into their house, and if I used to see his ambassador car, I always thought, okay, I hope I get a 5-second opportunity, a 10-second opportunity, a 5-minute opportunity to interact with him. That's when he said, Krishnan, you should apply for the Hindu. So I said, sir, okay, I'll try and do it. How do I go about it? Then he suggested me, I applied for the Hindu. So I had applied for the Hindu, they liked my portfolio, everything like that. Say they did call me for an interview. I went in for the interview. While I was the interview, just by then I had gone to Ahmedabad, did this interview, and by the time I was called to meet the editor, this telegram had come. So I did go. I was very happy. Actually, I thought I would probably go pick up this job, and I'll probably keep hindsight my NID, and that's it. I went in there, and I was at the Delhi office at INS building, and that's it. I was about to meet Mr. G. Kasturi. I was called in there, and he said, Krishnan, very nice. So when are you likely to join? Manaka, sir, I wanted to join, but I just need to tell you instead of later being shouted at. I got admission at NID Ahmedabad. Is that so? This job is no more for you. You should go ahead for that, and that's a lovely place. I have heard about it and all that. Keep me posted. This job is wait for you. That's about it. But if you got that, you should go for it. Can I see that? He saw the telegram, wish me all the best, and that's it. And that man was like, you see him, he was like idealistic, so personified, absolutely. You look into his eyes, it's so much of like godliness and everything, and there's thorough thought process. And if he speaks to you, his eyes are actually looking into us and reading our brain. And you see him, you are just poised, that's it. And I said, okay, that's it. He wished me all the best, and that's it. After I went to NID, and then he called me through somebody, and he wanted to know every 6 months I had to send my jury, what was my learning process, what had I learned, how did I learn, what did I do. Everything was so interested, and I used to send him my couple of pictures, what projects I did, like traveling for Festival of India in USSR. Now we were traveling from visiting all the monuments, visiting all the forts, going and documenting so many museums all across India. I was supposed to be joining NID as a faculty, but all my friends in there, my mentors and people with whom I studied, they were together. There were some seniors and all. That place is actually very addictive. The entire atmosphere, the library, the whole setup, the friends and everything, and it's a huge learning process. Meaning, I remember there were 72 hours to 96 hours. Imagine I hadn't slept for 5 minutes. You get involved in your work so much that you neither feel sleepy, neither do you feel hungry, nor do you feel thirst. That's it. You just keep on, because the whole place is full of something which vibrates you, that you have no hunger. There's only, come on, let me do something. Okay, I finished my job, let me help out somebody. Somebody wants something, some diploma project, some other senior wants something, some junior wants something, somebody wants to learn something. Bread bun, and watermelon and one omelette a night. That's it. It used to keep us going so well.
I assume that your first experiences with sports photography started when you were at the Hindu. And I think if I remember from what we talked about earlier, the first incidence of shooting sports was a golf tournament. Was golf something that you were plugged into?
Yeah. This morning I was watching the Olympics. Aditi Ashok, no, she was probably a contender for a bronze medal. She played so well and everything like that. I was actually recollecting. For me, I had never been to a golf course. I had no clue what is golf about. Forget any other sport. At least cricket, I know what is it. Football, you've seen some pictures here, there, you could relate to something. But golf is something, it's an extremely technical sport. Golf. Even shooting, okay, they are one place they come and shoot that here. But golf is such a technical sport. Meaning that's it. I went in there. Mr. Kasturi asked me here, there. Then I applied. I had to wait. After that, let me tell you, I have to carry on to my old. Then eventually, I applied for the Hindu again, and then I was called for an interview at Chennai. And then here he says, Mr. Krishnan, I want you to be in Chennai. I said, no sir, my work ethics call only for me in Delhi, and I love Delhi. I'm a Delhiite. I'm a Tambram. I know Tamil. I love Tamil. I love the culture. I love Carnatic music, everything like that. But when it comes to work, I want to be in Delhi. And he said, okay, no, but we don't have a position in there. Manaka, as and when you have a position, I'll be in there. That's it. And went there. I was to have a presentation of 15 minutes, and eventually he gave me almost 90 minutes. We had a couple of coffees and a brilliant, very nice, stupendous man. I finished that, and then coming back again, came in, eventually joined, and I joined the Hindu. I am not too sure whether I told you. I joined the Hindu on the 1st April of 1987. I don't know who's making a fool of whom, but still, despite all that, we still carry on with this tradition and everything like that. Like, that's it. Then I went to pick up my appointment letter at the Hindu, and then my senior most person, the chief photographer, who was N. Srinivasan, he said, hi Krishnan, what are you doing today? I said, nothing much sir, what, I just came to pick up my appointment letter. Illappa, in the bag golf is happening, National Open Golf is happening, Indian Open Golf is happening, go to the golf course. A previous day I fell on my bike, I had an ankle injury. But despite that, I carry in there, and this bag has nothing much. It's got 2 f3s, it's got 2 flashes, it's got 2 70-200 lenses, and a few more extra lenses, wide angle lenses. I didn't know what I needed there. The entire, I was used only for Olympus equipment. This man gives me an entire kit. That kit was probably about 15 to 18 kgs. I carry his bag, go in there, my ankle injury, go in there. I had no clue about golf. I had no clue about golf. What 18 holes, what here, where is tee off, what happens here, there. I was just told, VV, just go there, Sharma is there, he will tell you what to shoot and all that. I go in there, Mr. Sharma, where is Mr. Sharma, where is Mr. Sharma, everything. I go, everything looks, I don't even know who's the leader. I didn't know how is golf played, what is under par. Now I have a clear, today when I was watching this live from Tokyo, I could recollect myself how badly I struggled. Now at least I can follow this sport so much better. At least I knew, okay, Aditi Ashok stands this chant, this is it, she is under this, here, there, here. There was so much more sense, but those days nothing. And you had no television, you had no golf magazine also, no? And now golf is a big sport even in India. So those days, eventually, no Sharma, that's it. And eventually at 5 o'clock in the evening, while I was just about to leave the golf course, everything was over. I asked probably about 40 odd people during the day, where is Mr. Sharma? And somebody, oh, there is Satish Sharma, go and meet him. You go in there, this man guzzling beer. And I asked him, Sharma ji, what do I have to do? Whose picture? Did you get this? Did you get that? Damn it, I had no clue, man. I said, I got this. Eventually, I covered golf for 3 days. By the time I understood, it was almost over. So I eventually went and shot this. Mike Tennyson was, I think if I remember right, Mike Tennyson won the Indian Open Golf that year, which was probably 1987. He won the Indian Golf Open. But by that time, I would seriously say, that was my best challenge of covering sport. I don't think any other sport is so much more tougher to learn the technicalities. That's it.
So how do you feel that covering golf was compared to your probably what would be a big break for you, which was the 89 Asian Games in Pakistan? So were you familiar with the sports that you were shooting at the Asian Games as compared to golf?
Yeah, meaning golf was a learning process. By the time I covered golf before I joined the Hindu. That was a learning process. But from 87 to 89, I had covered so much of hockey, I had covered so much of cricket, I had covered so much of, meaning football, all sports. By the time I had covered equestrian, I had a fairly decent athletics, I had covered so much more athletics. And let me tell you, covering athletics, people think it's a 100-meter race, okay, but when you, as a photographer, you represent newspaper, you go to cover athletics, it's not, you are not doing a 100-meter race or 200-meter race. There is hurdles happening, simultaneously there's pole vault happening, there's simultaneously the triple jump happening, there's simultaneously the shot put happening, discus happening, javelin happening, everything like that. So you need to draw a line like, okay, these are the events for the day, 100 meter, 200 meter, 300 meter, 400 meter, 4 into 100, 100 into 4, meaning you have hurdles, you have this, that, everything, and 800 meters. And it was a learning process. 1500 millimeter, 1500 meter race, the start point is different, but all the races, the finish line is the same.
Right.
But when it comes to longer races, you should actually get a picture of the guy who's going to win along with his competitor. There's no point coming and doing a finish line picture. A finish line picture, only the finisher would be there. But imagine Xenia Arten, a 100 meter runner, Xenia Arten. If Bahadur Singh runs a 1500 meter those days, but Bahadur Singh eventually will win the race. But there's no point you have a picture of Bahadur Singh just winning the race, because when he wins the race, at the finish line, it will be only Bahadur Singh. There are no competitors. There is nobody else is coming close. Everybody else is at least about 250 meters behind. So you have only Bahadur Singh. The best thing is at the bend before the finish line, you should try and get him.
Right.
Or at any bend, you will stay at the finish line, but probably get pictures at the bend, where he is leading and there are other people who are in there. By the time I went to SAF games in Islamabad, I knew at least how to look for good pictures and anywhere, that's it. But by the time I went to SAF game, my other colleagues in my newspaper and other newspaper, everything like that, they never used to write look into it at a larger perspective. They used to be there like, oh, tomorrow morning I need this picture in my newspaper.
Yeah.
That obviously, if I go to Islamabad, if I am assigned to Islamabad, obviously they are going to use 2 pictures of VV Krishnan. That's fine. But I don't want that to happen. I want that photo content should be so good that people look at my byline. Hey, who shot this? Who's covered this? This looks a little different than usual pictures you get to see. So that kind of attention, I used to play a little more detail in there. And then we had one colleague of mine who had come, and I was one, and there was a reporter. Each day, we used to, previous evening itself, we used to plan ahead. Okay, tomorrow what do we cover? Okay, Vivi, tomorrow swimming happens. Those days, Julian Bowling from Sri Lanka was probably one of the finest swimmers the SAF had. Of course, he was a student in US and all that. He had the best of facilities and everything. So that's how I know the Sri Lankan anthem so well. Because after that, I went to Sri Lanka covering cricket as well. But I know the Sri Lanka anthem so well because I used to hear him, because Julian Bowling used to win almost all 50 meters, 100 meters, medley, backstroke. He used to win all the swimming medals. But getting up the right pace, even though, breaststroke, how to get a good picture of breaststroke, everything. And I used to plan so well, and we used to so like it happened one day, next day to a marathon. So previous day he said, Vivi, day after is the marathon in the morning, so you have to plan. So evening I finished my work, well, everything. I went to a cabbie. I said to the cabbie, I had the route of the marathon. I said, I want to take a ride. The entire marathon route, I took this on the cab. So I asked him to stop at a couple of places where I used to see a footover bridge, to cross over here. There. It was in Islamabad, and I think by the time Islamabad was exactly probably as close to one of the very well laid cities, like we had Chandigarh those days. Of course, Chandigarh now is as messy as anywhere else, but a very, very planned city, your right angles here, there, lovely roads, large roads, everything like that. A real capital city. So I went in there, I saw a footover bridge. I asked a cabbie to stop in there. I went up the footover bridge. Then I saw the marathon would, I think, probably take off from the stadium, probably as a bunch on the second round or third round, second round, I think they would come in there. You will probably about 70 athletes, and from that top angle, if you shot it well, you compress it with your 7200 mm lens, you have the Faisal Mosque. We had the Faisal Mosque, which is really far. But if you compress it with your lens, it would look good. That was my visualization. So next day, I went and stayed to that place. the whole thing came, the marathon guys came, I shot the first round, I shot the second round, the third round, I got right just about 40 people there, that entire mosque in the background, and it was a transparent, it came as a double spread in my Sportster. I still have a copy in there.
Lovely.
Fabulous, fabulous. And then every evening I used to, of course I had a task of just doing this and that, but I used to always tell my colleague, but KP, I want to do something today, there is a football quarterfinal happening, can I cover it? You go take a look, I am not coming, I have to file, obviously they have to file and all details. You can get a picture, shoot it. Of course, it used to take, those days, sending one picture used to take about 8 to 10 minutes on that wire transmitter I had. That's a long story by itself.
So far, me and whoever else watches this is being spoiled with a number of anecdotes that you're bringing up from various sporting events, and for me especially is cricket matches, because I can remember almost all the matches that you have talked about. But there's this one particular photo that actually made me remember your name, which was in the 90s, where you got this famous photograph of Jonty Rhodes flying into the stumps to execute a run out, and I think this was in 1991. Could you just tell me how that photograph happened? How did you create it, and how did that affect you? Because that picture ended up being plastered everywhere, right? It was such a famous photograph.
We ended up playing, the first game was a 3-day game in Brisbane. So there, and Brisbane ground is brilliant and very nice and awesome ground and everything like that. But the problem is that entire ground is built like a saucer, that's about it. The pitch is there by the time it comes down. So now if you stay at the ground level where generally photographers sit, you actually get to see it, like you get to see the stumps and everything like that, but you can't see the crease at all. Because it's almost about very close to about 4 inches from the ground level. So you can barely see it. You can see the ball, you can see the wicket, pitch, everything like that, but you don't see the lines of the crease. So I covered the 3-day game, but by the time I was doing the 2nd-day game, I kept looking here, there, if I can get a spot. But if I go into the stands, I have a lot of disturbance in this, and there's so many more spectators in there. But then I saw this, there is a lovely kind of a place to sit out, but it was a Queensland Cricket Association. They had a kind of it was an association, it was their sitting area. Members used to come sit there, and that's it. So one day I saw one lady, sitting 2nd day of the game. I wasn't very happy with where I was sitting and shooting. All the other Australian photographers were there, everybody was there. But probably they were happy doing it there. I was also okay with doing there, but I wasn't very happy. You couldn't see the crease lines or something like that. So 2nd day, 3rd day, eventually the 3rd day I thought, we playing the test match, the 2nd test match or 3rd test match was in Gaba. I said, you can't be doing this. I need the line. I need to be a little higher spot would be nice. Even a 2 feet higher spot, you in there, you get a far better angle, and the picture looks a little different than what you're getting. So I kept on greeting this lady, and 3rd day she said, are you from India? I said, obviously you look at me, I do look like America. Yeah ma'am, I work for a national newspaper called The Hindu, I'm from the other side. I said, ma'am, is that okay if I sit in that one corner? She used to sit in one corner all day sipping beer and sitting in there alone. Nobody used to be there, it was sit out and all that. There was space adjacent to her, next to the side screen in one corner. I said, would you mind when we come in for the test match, would you mind if I can probably grab that spot? Is that okay with you? She said, I am secretary of the club. You're most welcome, Mr. Krishnan. Come there. I'll make sure during the test match you are comfortable there. And then eventually there was a World Cup game which was between Pakistan and South Africa. I happened to be in there, and it was an extremely dull, overcast, cloudy day. And I happened to be sitting there, and the match was not very interesting, and the light made you so much more boring. And for me, that was my last day at Brisbane. That's it. After that, I don't come back to Brisbane. Next day was an India-England game in Sydney. So I was sitting in there, here, there, chatting with her and having a jolly good time, speaking to her and all that. I was concentrated on the game, no issues at all. But I had the F3 camera with my film in there, that's it. And then I used to have, for film, for black and white, I used to have a 600 mm this, and then for color, I used to have a 400 mm with this. And that day I said, that match was so, meaning badly lit, I said, I don't need any more color for this, let me remove my color camera. I removed my 400 mm lens, kept it side. I was just doing this, pretending to be just talking to her, covering the game. I was focused with the game and everything like that. But suddenly, then I looked at I used to have this habit, dirty habit of checking your battery levels. No, there you get 2 LEDs. If your batteries are full, because that camera, that battery pack used to take 8 AA batteries to keep your MD4 motor really at high speed. But if you press your LEDs, both of them are blinking, are glowing, that means your battery power is nice. But here I could see that only the second one powering. I wish, and I had batteries in my camera bag, but I thought, no, tomorrow is the India game, let me keep it for the India game, I don't want to change it. I kept going with that battery. Suddenly, I'm just there, and that's it, I'm concentrating in there. All the photographers, Australian photographers were at square on, here, there, nobody on my left, nobody on my right. I was in there, and suddenly this happens. That man just runs in from no point. He just comes in there. He knew, had he thrown, he could see only one stump from where you could see it. So he thought the fastest thing was probably him just crashing into the stump. He came running in there, Inzamam coming in there, and that's it. For me, I just pressed shutter, sharp, everything like that. And for me, like, I never, those days weren't autofocus lenses. For me, like, I could just do this, and I knew this is it for 10 feet, this is it, this is it, this. It was just an intuition. I knew my focus was fine, my sharpness was perfect, my exposure was perfect. I had no doubts on any of it. Only thing is, had it been a digital camera, I would have seen it, check. Okay, did I get the right frame? I couldn't do that. So
now you had to wait for a long time to know whether you got that shot.
I knew I got it. I was very happy. Oh, I got it. At least I wasn't here, there. I wasn't looking there, here, there. I got this man coming in there. I saw it with through my lens. I got it in there. And everybody at the press box up there, my colleague, and there were so many more Australian photographers, all of them knew this was the best angle. And all of them, every one of them at the press box knew that VV Krishnan always sits up there. He would have, there was no television camera at my angle. They were all up there, here, there. And the other television camera, of course, television camera, there were about 21 cameras those days as well. By the time it was Channel 9 covering it. So so many more reporters came in there and looked down, is VV Krishnan there? And they said, hey VV, did you get it? I said, I got something. I didn't say, no, I got it here, there. I didn't want to boast myself. You process it, you go process it in there, you are the first, no? Because I didn't want to take any chances. I didn't want to use yesterday's chemicals, nothing. And this woman was so excited. She said, Vivi, did you get it? Manaka, yeah, I got it. Shall I get a beer? I said, no, this is no more time. Manaka, I want to just go. Let the match get over. I want to go to the room. Said, no. Today is special. I'll come to the room. I want to see to it. And you won't believe it. I went to the room. She came with me to the room. She dropped me. Not only dropped, generally she used to drop me at the Park Royal and leave. That day she dropped me at the Park Royal. She came along with me to my room. I developed my film. Look, I didn't want to scratch my neck, nothing. I just hung it. With a dryer, I dried it. Then looked through the loop. I think I got it. And that, by the time I went into my dark room, there were almost 6-7 reporters who had already come there just to see the picture. I went in there, it was like Jane Vidayaro, no? Jane Vidayaro, I remember this film, no? Where they had this, some murder happening, and this, that was the only time in my dark room, there were about 10 people in my dark room inside the loo. There was no dark room, that loo was converted, bathroom was converted into a dark room.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And you had about 8 people in the dark room, under the fluorescent light, no? Red light, I make a print. I said, you can't make much out of it. Because as a photographer, I'm used to that red light. I can actually read in the red light. So eventually, I processed it, made it, fixed it, got in there, and I got a hug from all of them. It was so much. But as always, no, beggars can't be choosers. But I only wish those damn 8 batteries were lying in my bag. That's it. Had I put it in there, that picture would have been 300 times far superior than what actually I have. But I don't want to repent what I got. At least not too many people have it. Nobody saw it.
Yeah, I mean,
eventually
I can't even imagine what you and the other the photographers would have been thinking when you were looking at this picture, because it was so immediately special. I remember watching that match. I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I was watching it live, and I could barely believe what happened because it happened so fast. He was Jonty was running in. He dived at the stumps. He crashed into it, ran the guy out, and before you realize what happened, it was over. And to imagine now, if I watch those videos on YouTube, to imagine that you were clicking it from a very different angle. I can't even imagine what it must have been like to see the picture when you got back to your dark room.
And what I like is, it's that what I like about that picture, it doesn't need a caption. It has the entire story in there. It has Inzamam trying to rush and reach the crease. It had Jonty in the air coming to kill the stumps, reach the stumps, and you had Imran Khan up there. He's got his gloves up there and he's cursing Inzamam, why the hell you came in here and you running back in there? He's the captain. That's it. The whole picture has a story, that's what it is. But then I don't want to see, people say, I wish you didn't color. Nobody knew that ball, this would happen, that ball, this would happen, that over.
Yeah. So, what was the impact of that photograph for you?
Yeah, meaning, that was a story by itself, and after that, it did get, much later it got, only thing is I came back to India after that, and after that, we went out to South Africa, and by that time, that entire photo was in about huge posters all over South Africa. Is it a bird or a plane? Is Jonty. That was a slogan. And we played the first test match in Wanderers, I think. We played the first test match at Wanderers, India versus South Africa. And I happened to be at a lovely, nice angle, and South Africa, you could sit wherever you wanted. I didn't stay at the Vidka here, there. I was at the stands, that's it. And then there was these young people who came in there. Are you from India? I said, yeah. Do you know Krishnan? I said, I am Krishnan. You can't be Krishnan. He is the guy who shot Jonty Rhodes' picture. I said, look boss, I am Krishnan, that's it. This is what is my ID. And by the time you had about 40 young people and coming in there saying, are you Krishnan? Are you Krishnan? I said, yeah, but let me work. And that included Jonty Rhodes' girlfriend, that's about it. She must have been just about 3 years younger to him or something. But again, that guy was so I remember I was in, and by the time, then after all that, it got voted, that picture got voted as one of the best 10 cricket pictures of the last millennium.
Wow.
I remember I was in Chennai about 10 years ago or something. It was 25 years of this picture or something like that. It was a test match between, South Africa and Australia, which is playing there. I think it was 25 years of this thing happening. And Jonty happened to be in there, and luckily at the studio, that cameraman was an Indian guy. When they were discussing about this picture, Jonty mentioned my name, and as soon as it got over, apparently that cameraman told him, do you know Krishnan? Kehta, yeah, I know him very well, but I don't have his number. Kehta, I have his number. So he gave me a WhatsApp call. I was in Chennai. I think it was Saturday or Sunday. I was home in Mylapore, and it made me I was just amazed that Jonty is giving me a call from it, and I didn't realize it was 25 years, exactly 25 years of that moment happening.
That is something special.
Some cherished moments, that's it. I'm proud of it. I love it.
So now I would like to ask you about the transition that you made from purely being a photographer out in the field, photographing events all around the world, sporting events all around the world, to your work as a photo editor for The Hindu. What motivated you to make that switch, and what has your experience been like working as a photo editor? How does the job actually work for you?
No, one with my age and the technology changing and everything, everybody wanted everything fast. Everybody wanted more pictures and many more pictures as early as possible. And I could realize, like, I wouldn't say there was so much more mediocrity coming in or something like that, but I'm a guy of person, no? I'm a studious guy. I want to do everything the way, I don't say I would give you my pictures day after, but I want to give you my pictures. I want to take a good look at my pictures. I want to see if I got 4 frames, I want to analyze which is good. 1 is better, 2 is better, 3rd is better, or 4th is the best. But if I don't have time, and eventually it became like, come on, I want it. It's like a shop, no? I want this. And then I realized, and over a period of time, I love traveling, but how many times do you want to visit Australia? How many times do you want to visit, South Africa? How many times do you want to go to West Indies? And it's the same ground, same people, same security guys, and slowly and steadily, it became like access to stadiums, access to your way of working, where you want to do your spots. I like sitting to the next to the screen, but no, there's a TV camera there, you can't sit here, you sit in there. And eventually you had lost the best of the angles, everything. These were stress factors, and I realized it, like traveling wasn't easier anymore. You couldn't carry 2 bags, no? You couldn't carry 2 check-in bags, meaning handbags. Either you carry a camera bag, you can't carry a 600 mm. You book your lens, imagine the lens doesn't arrive at the venue. Where do you do photography? You can't do pictures with your 24-70 lens, you can't be doing cricket games. It was so much of stress factor and everything. I said, I have had enough, man, I've done enough. I need to draw a line, that's about. Eventually I was in features, then I was given this opportunity to head my entire department. Of course, they were all my good colleagues with whom I worked for multiple years and everything. Few of them I was envied, few of them I was a hero, few of them I was zero, few like, few don't like. But that's it. I loved my role, and I didn't want to show my backside to my company. They gave me so much more exposure. All photographers put together in India, or so many more people, my own contemporaries in the world, they would appreciate it, like, VV, you got so much more opportunities. I loved it, and eventually I gave so much back to them, and I still enjoy teaching people, giving them small things. Don't change your file name, this is how caption should be done, get the four W's, no, when, what, where, everything. Put in details in there, so that put as much detail there. Don't put too much detail that people get to know you got everything from Google. Just put in so much more detail so that it's easy to find your pictures, it's easy to look for your pictures, and I love doing it. I enjoy every bit of it.
And so what is your what is the actual role of a photo editor? What do you actually do on the day to day?
There's so much more planning happens, like, in the sense, I got to be looking at what's likely to happen tomorrow, what are things happening. Like, for me, with all my vast experience, okay, there is a protest in there, in Trinamool is having a protest in there, this could happen, but there could be a sense of violence. You tell the photographer, you be careful, just do this, don't get carried away. If you're going for floods, just do this, because I've been through this drill. Okay, you go in there, there's a power cut in there. I went to Kedarnath, deluge. I had no power, I had no internet connectivity. Between me and my reporter, she had 2 SIM cards, I had 4 SIM cards. These are things, very, very small things, but they can actually make your job so much more easier, but if you plan better. My job task is basically giving a people, like, a heads up towards what we look forward to it. There's no point having a similar kind of picture. You go in there, okay, I get this, get 3/4. If you're going for a nice portrait interview assignment, like, imagine doing a picture of you today. I would say, okay, do one here, do this 4 pictures from that angle. Use your other lens, go a little behind, get his face, get a profile in there. Don't get all of them. Look for a nice vertical picture. Tomorrow you need something for a vertical cover picture. There's no point. You have a landscape picture and you try and crop it in there, you lose so much more on quality. They are very, very extremely small things, but it does matter, and keep on looking at the picture. It's a thought process, and if you are a good learner, it's so much easier to handle you. If there are few people who are extremely difficult to handle, but it's lovely to do a turnaround for even some hard learner. If you turn him and make him, and I feel happy, that's about it.
When you work now with the team at the newspaper, you work with a variety of people, right? You work with a sports editor, you work with, I think you had mentioned you work with a visual editor, and you work with photographers as well. So what do you think is the difference between working with, as a person, what do you think of what's the difference between a visualizer and a photographer?
I would suggest, no, me being a photo editor and being a good photographer was always good. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a master of everything. But what one should make sure, I know what is a good picture, what is the exact picture. This goes to the right picture with the right story. But there is a fact, there are so many more factors when it comes to layout in a newspaper, when it comes to the graphic element in the picture, the layout, meaning how many columns you want a picture, how it is here, there. And I'm so much more happier working with a visual editor and even a graphic designer or a layout artist or something like that, as long as they have clarity in what exactly they're looking for. That is something extremely important for the delivery process, and to achieve exactly, to get the all elements together, I think I would be more than happy to have few more people along with me. That's about it.
I think now we have talked about so many things. There is just one last thing that I want to ask you. This is something that I try to ask people as much as possible when I have them on the show in one way or another. Through all these different experiences you have had, different places where you have worked, shooting out of the country, shooting within the country, working as a photo editor, where you essentially stay in one place, and then of course the different ways in which you learnt your craft, right? Through all of those things and all the decisions you had taken along the way, did you feel like you knew what you were doing at every step, or was it something you left up to chance?
No, I would see, if I came in a very hard way, man, but left to me, if I was asked to do it all over again or something like that, I will say, man, cut my arms, man, I don't want to do it. It was so tough, man. It was so tough, carrying with 70 kilograms of luggage, a 400 mm lens, a 600 mm lens, a Gizzo tripod which weighs about 17 kilograms, and now you can't even carry over 25 kilograms, you can't even check in luggage.
Yeah.
And those days I actually became a tour operator for the entire Indian journalist team, just because I had a selfish idea in the sense, I have 40 kilograms of luggage, how the hell can I, come on, I need to distribute it, I'll check in all your baggage, give me all your passports, give me all your tickets, everything like that. It was so hard, but I don't repent any of it. But if I was asked to do it all over again, I would still say, no, I would have to think over it. It was too hard, very hard. It took a toll on my body, it took a toll on my family. I could never see my children grow up. I never went for any holidays. I almost missed my sister's wedding. I almost missed my Simandam.
I think that's a good place to end it, where despite all the hard work, it was a very satisfying career to have had. Thank you very much for doing this interview. I had been waiting to talk to you for a long time. I didn't know how to get in touch with you, and then when we finally got in touch, I think it was very satisfying.
Well, that's our show for this week. You can watch other full episodes and curated playlists at everythingcomestogether.com. Please subscribe to Sreenag Pictures on YouTube and like or leave a comment for this video. You can listen to the audio podcast by subscribing to Everything Comes Together on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. If you like this episode, please tell a friend about it and help get the word out about this show. The Everything Comes Together video and audio series is produced by Sreenag Pictures, post-production by G.S. Mohan, and original music by Aashray Harishankar from Escapist Music. Until we meet again with another fascinating guest, you can reach me on Instagram @Sreenag or at everythingcomestogether.com. See you soon.